So you mapped out your projects, you learned some tools, but when it's time to actually build your data portfolio, most people freeze. They don't know where to start, they don't know how to structure their projects or what hiring managers want to see. This is where this video is going to come in. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to build your first job-ready projects, from finding the right data set to cleaning it, analyzing it, packaging it with insights and recommendations. Even better, I'll show you how to use AI to speed up the entire process, from schema design to storytelling. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to create the kind of portfolio pieces that show that you can do the work, even without the job title. My name is Jeff. I started out as a temp, worked my way into data analytics over 13 years ago, and then eventually became a business analyst consultant at a Fortune 5 company where I am today. My mission is to help 10,000 people break into data analytics, and I'm here to help you every step of the way because I know that the job market is rough. So if that is your goal, to subscribe, because I'm sharing weekly insights and releasing videos to help you every step. You're watching Step C of the Epic Launch System, my video series, and your roadmap for landing your first data job, even if you don't have the title, the degree, or formal experience. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to build, how to package it so it actually gets you interviews. Building your first full data project from scratch can feel overwhelming. You've spent weeks, months learning SQL, dashboards, Python, and now you're staring at a blank screen wondering, where do I even start? Yes, it can feel scary, confusing, and that's expected. Just try to attempt the project from your plan, and let's lean heavily into AI with ChatGPT, Gemini, or Cursor to guide you. And having AI as a mentor there step by step should help you get started and get you build momentum. But after that, if you're still feeling overwhelmed and confused, let's start with something easier to build your momentum. I suggest getting more practice with guided projects. Most professional certification programs and learning platforms already have built-in projects and even full project libraries. These are often hidden gems and give you additional practice you need before diving in to creating more complex portfolio pieces from scratch. That's why I highly recommend going through a paid program if you can, not just because paying helps me personally stay committed, but because it also makes doing projects easier. So if you're feeling stuck, here's a play. Just start with a few of those guided projects to build your MVP portfolio, which is your minimal viable portfolio. Think about it as your version beta or version 1.0, not perfect, not fancy, but enough to show that you know how to apply the skills, you can walk through a problem, and you're serious enough to actually finish something. That alone is going to put you ahead of 90% of the applicants who show up with no portfolio. Now, where can you find these guided projects? Like I mentioned before, you can Google IBM certifications on Coursera or other courses. Each course usually ends in a project. DataQuest has tons of Python and SQL based portfolio project pieces. Udemy has a lot of top rated courses that will include portfolio projects, but you have to check reviews, just do additional research. DataCamp, which is the platform that I use and recommend. If you're in DataCamp, just head to the real world projects tab and type into the tools or topics in the search bar, and then you'll be able to find relevant project or portfolio ideas that you can work on. Also, DataCamp is running their June promo 50% off until July 3rd, so you can try it free with my link below. And if it's a good fit, that discount is a no-brainer. Yes, I'm an affiliate, but I purchased it before I ever became one. If you use my link below, it helps support the channel as well at no extra cost to you. So just try it out for free, check it out if it's a good fit for you. Let's get into the actual execution component and part of this. So if you remember from step P, this is where we planned our portfolio plan and project. So you scoped out real business problems, identified the various tools you want to showcase, and prioritize the skills that employers were looking for. Now it's time to build your MVP, your minimal viable portfolio. This is going to be the starting point where you're going to start from and build and improve as you go. Now we're going to cover a 7-stage MVP workflow to make it easier for you to build from scratch. It's going to go through data, load, clean, analyze, visualize, insight, and then recommend. But before we break this down and before you even touch a data set, you need to answer one simple question. What problem are we solving? And this is exactly why we use the track framework back in step P. And I guess a quick refresher, the T is just title. R is real business problem. A is analytic stacks, the tools that you're using. C is critical KPIs. K is key stakeholders. And then the exclamation is impact. What impact does it have for the business. If you've done that, great. If not, just rewind to step P because it's going to be your blueprint for everything that we're doing. First step is data. You're going to find or create it. Let's be real. If your project is just using a Kaggle CSV and a pivot table, higher chances are it's not going to be competitive enough. Why? Because jobs expect you to work with messy multi-table data and simulate how you'd handle it in SQL. So pick a data set that actually fits your business problem. You have two options: public data sets, Kaggle, data.gov, Synthea, 538, Who, Fred, CMS.gov, World Bank will cover a lot of your needs. And then you also have to generate your own data. You can use Mockaroo or Python's Faker to create mock data that will fit your project scope. Two is load. We're going to get your data into SQL like a real analyst. This step might not be required for every job that you're applying to, and some roles, especially at small companies or those with self-service tools, might just expect you to work in Excel, Google Sheets, or just load a single CSV into Power BI or Tableau. And they might have clean data warehouses for you to query off of. But here is why I recommend this step of learning how to load your data into SQL anyways, because some of you might be thinking this is a DBA's job, this is someone else's job to be doing it. While you might be right, the roles in the companies that you go to are going to be less forgiving, and sometimes you just have to do it for project's sake. So why this skill is worth it, even if it's optional, it's going to build real world skills. Most data analyst roles, especially in larger organizations, require you to work with multiple tables inside a database. So practicing this now will simulate a real job because a lot of the times it's just too clean inside these learning platforms. It also helps you think relationally. Understanding how the data connects across tables, different various data sources will help you write better queries, spot inconsistencies easier, and help avoid surface level analysis. Also, it shows initiative. When a recruiter sees that you not only clean the data, but design the schema and load it into SQL, that is a serious green flag. And it gives you storytelling material for interviews. I use SQL Server to load, join multiple tables for my healthcare project. I designed the schema, created dashboards on appointment no-shows segmented by insurance type. That's the kind of project that gets you remembered. And honestly, it's a skill that I wish I learned earlier in my career. So for the setup, we're going to choose a SQL database, something that mirrors the real world. Since I work in healthcare at a Fortune 5 company, we use Microsoft SQL Server, which is very common in corporate environments, especially those built on the Microsoft stack. So if you want to replicate that, you can install SQL Server Express since it's free, use SQL Server Management Studio to manage it, or Azure's Data Studio if you want something more modern. But honestly, if you're just starting out, you can work with SQLite, super lightweight, great with Python, or PostgreSQL, which is widely used in tech and data science. The goal isn't to master every tool, it's just to understand the principle and then transfer across all of the skill sets across them. Now, how to actually load the data even without fancy tools. A lot of new analysts will get stuck here because the process feels confusing. What's a schema? How do I know what tables I need? What columns are supposed to be primary keys? This is where we're going to use AI to become your DBA assistant. So here, use this AI prompt. Basically, it's you are senior database architect mentoring a junior data analyst. I have this data set, then briefly describe your data set and then attach it. Can you help me identify the best way to structure in the SQL tables, recommend data names, data types, constraints, suggest which columns should be primary and foreign keys, show sample create table schema using PostgreSQL or SQL Server syntax. Bonus, include advice on how to normalize the data if needed. Please explain it like you're teaching a smart beginner who's never built a schema before. So use this prompt anytime you're starting a new project because it's going to help you avoid beginner mistakes, get you started, help you think in data models, and then also save you hours in trial and error. Step 3 is going to handle messy real-world data like a pro. So here's a brutal truth. Every data analyst job involves cleaning data. In fact, depending on your role in your company, you might spend more time cleaning than you would analyzing. And if you skip this step in your portfolio project, hiring managers are going to notice if it's important to the role. Every project that I work on currently has some type of data cleaning and transformation. And this is where analysts earn their stripes working in the trenches. This is the difference between like a class project and a real world project because data is just messy. In tutorials, data is clean, neat, labeled perfect. In real life, you're going to be working with inconsistent formats like CA compared to California, duplicate entries, typos in key columns, nulls or missing values, mixed data types in the same column, extra white spaces, hidden characters, date columns in 5 different formats. You don't need to fix everything, but you do need to show you know what to look for and that you can fix it before analyzing. So if the data is already clean, what you want to just try to do is manipulate the data so you can practice cleaning and transforming it, and then add it so that you can also add it as a talking point during interviews in the future. Tools that you can use is you can clean the data with SQL, Python, Pandas is powerful for this. Excel or Power Query, which works for small fixes or smaller data sets. Regardless of the tool that you use, what matters is that you're showing your process, and you can add this to your project story. So every data cleaning decision you make is going to be part of your analyst story. Hiring managers don't want to see just dashboards, they want to see how you got there. So things that you'll be able to talk about in the future is, after loading the data, I found over 400 duplicate transactions and inconsistent state codes. So I wrote a few SQL scripts to clean and standardize everything before starting analysis. So those are ways to prove your competency during interviews. Here, you can also use AI to audit your data set. If you're not sure what needs cleaning, here's how to use it. Here's a prompt that you can use. You are a senior data analyst. Here is a sample of my data set, then attach it. Can you identify potential issues or inconsistencies I should clean? What tools or techniques you recommend? SQL or Pandas examples to fix them. This builds your pattern recognition and saves time, especially when you're working with new data set. Step 4 is analyze, extract what actually matters. So you clean your data set, it's loaded into SQL and structured in Pandas or Excel. Everything's consistent. You remove duplicates, filter the nulls, standardized categories. Now comes the fun part, making sense of the data. But here's a trap that most beginners fall into. They run some group buys, make a bar chart, and then call it a day. And that might not be competitive enough to impress a hiring manager. So let's do some analysis. What does analysis actually mean inside the job context? A real analyst is trying to answer questions like, where are we losing customers and why? What's driving our support ticket volume? Which sales regions are underperforming relative to the forecast? What happens to revenue if we cut discounts by 10%? That's analysis. It's not just running the numbers and the math, it's thinking in terms of business questions and cause and effect. So let's revisit the track framework from step P. Your job now is for the R to solve real business problems. And what question did you commit to answering? Then you have the C, which is the critical KPIs. What metrics are moving the needle? And then you have the exclamation mark, which is the impact. What is your analysis actually for, and what is the business impact it's going to have? If your queries and calculations aren't aligned to those goals, you're just crunching numbers and you're not as valuable to the team. Another thing is to tell a story with every query. Don't just run a query, run a query with a hypothesis. An example of this is, I suspect customer churn is higher in the East region. Let's do a 6-month retention by region. This makes when you query intentional and gives your future interview better talking points. You want to start documenting your findings as you go. So as you explore, you want to jot down notes like what's surprising, what's broken, where should the company double down or pull back? This will help you move into the visualize, insight, and recommendation steps. You don't need final answers. You just need breadcrumbs and ideas for a bigger story. And here's a way for you to use AI for exploratory analysis. If you're not sure what to analyze, here is a prompt that you can use. You are a senior data analyst. Base this on this business goal, then insert the business goal you had from earlier, add the schema, and then you can paste your table names and then attach your table names and get what are 3 to 5 meaningful KPIs or insights that I could extract from. Give me SQL or Pandas examples to start from. Brings us to step 5, which is visualize. Make your insights impossible to ignore. You've done the hard work, you've loaded the data, you've cleaned it, you've analyzed key metrics. Now it's to bring your project to life with visuals that communicate the value at a glance. Now, let's be clear, visualization isn't looking fancy or isn't just about that. Looking fancy can still be impressive in an interview, but it's more about clarity, comprehension, and business storytelling. There's a chance your hiring manager is not technical. They're not going to read your SQL. They're not going to scan your Pandas code. But what they will do is glance at your online portfolio and your dashboard and ask, can this person explain data in a way that I understand? This is the moment that you'll show you're not just a data technician, but you're a communicator. Here are common visualization mistakes to avoid. Cluttered dashboards with 12 plus charts that are overwhelming, using charts that don't match the data, default color schemes that look like a boring science project, tiny text or access labels that no one can read, no clear takeaways or recommendations. Remember, a messy dashboard is going to feel like a messy analyst. A clean, focused dashboard is going to make you look ready to present to executives, make it clean, easy to navigate, and easy to understand. AI prompt that you can use is you are a business intelligence analyst based on this data summary and business question. Then you insert your data and your goal. Explain what 2 to 3 visualizations would best tell the story. Explain which tool to use, Power BI, Excel, Python, etc. What chart types and what title to use for each chart. This is going to help you avoid chart soup where you just give a bunch of charts to somebody without giving them the impactful storytelling and recommendations. Step 6 is insight. Find the story in the noise. Now you've built a clean dashboard. Here's the hard truth. A dashboard with no insights is just decoration. This is where most beginner portfolios start to fall apart. They just stop at the charts, but a chart is not insight. An insight is something that answers a question. So what? And more importantly, what now? So let's dive into what is an insight. A good insight is a pattern, a trend, an anomaly in your data that tells a story. It's something that a stakeholder didn't already know that helps them make a decision. So let me give you a few examples. A bad one is churn was 17% last quarter. Good one is churn increased 4% among mobile users after app redesign, costing an estimated 150K in lost revenue. See the difference? Insights equals pattern plus context plus business relevance. So here's how to pull insights like an analyst. You want to ask yourself, what would they care about? What decision are they trying to make? What metric movement would actually matter? Then you would go finding those patterns using segmentation, break down those KPIs by region, channel, customer type, time trends, compare it week over week, month over month, before and after comparisons, A/B test, campaigns, product changes, and then anomaly detection, what looks off, what spiked or dropped off suddenly. This is where SQL functions, case statements, and Excel formulas like if, VLOOKUP, and pivot tables, filters can really shine in helping you analyze the data. Then you want to structure this like a consultant. Use this simple 3-part format. What you found, sales dropped by 12% among first-time buyers in Q2. Why it matters, this group presents 40% of our annual revenue. What it might mean. Marketing spend might be not converting as effectively, worth investigating acquisition strategy. Don't just show the data, show what it means and what to do with it. Here's an AI prompt that you can use. You are a business analyst reviewing this data set and dashboard. What are the 3 most important insights that a stakeholder would want to know? Format your answer using what you found, why it matters, and recommendation. And this finally brings us to step 7, recommend turning that insight into action. You're not just presenting what you found, you're telling your stakeholder what they should do about it. What is your recommendation? Because the real job of the analyst isn't just to analyze, it's to help the business to make better decisions. So let's say you discover that mobile churn increased after an app update. Basically, mobile users are leaving the app and not coming back. A good recommendation might be run usability tests on new mobile onboarding to identify where users drop off, prioritize fixes before Q3 marketing push. You're going to tie your insight to a specific action, then you're going to frame it in the language of the business, then you're going to show your analysis is more than academic, it's operational, and it has real business impact. Your charts don't make the impact, your recommendations do. So here's how to build a great recommendation and a simple structure you can follow. Insight recap, churn increased by 17% among mobile users after a new rollout. Root cause or hypothesis, data suggests onboarding completion rates drop in the same period. And then 3 suggested action, prioritize usability testing for mobile onboarding, delay marketing spend until UX UI issues have been resolved. Make sure your recommendation fits your tracked stakeholder. If this is for a marketing manager, don't suggest product roadmap changes, suggest campaign changes. Here's another AI prompt that you can use to build strong recommendations. You are a business analyst presenting to a marketing director. Here is the key insights, and then insert the insights. Based on this, what are the most actionable recommendations you'd make? Structured as insight recap, why it matters, and specific recommendation. So use this as a springboard, but always tailor it to your project. And now you're one major step closer to being job ready. But before you start applying, there's one more step that most people skip. It's the one that can secretly tip the scales in your favor before your resume even hits the stack. And it's what I call the bridge step, which represents the underscore between epic and launch. And that's what's coming next. If you miss any of the videos in the epic launch playlist, now's your chance. Click the playlist here and catch up on any videos that you missed and get ready, because the next step is going to be one that helps you get hired. So don't miss out, and subscribe now if you haven't. Watch this video.